All right, Raider Nation, let's get real for a second. There's been a lot of buzz lately about a possible move that could shake up the secondary in Las Vegas, and it's time we address it head on. Should the Raiders sign Shaquille Griffin? I know opinions are going to be all over the place, but hear me out, because when you start connecting the dots, it actually makes a lot of sense. This isn't just another off-season rumor. There are some real signs pointing in this direction, and if you're paying attention to how this coaching staff operates, this move wouldn't be a surprise. It might even be expected. So let's rewind a little bit and look at the bigger picture. Griffin recently visited the Raiders. That alone tells you that the front office is doing their homework. And this isn't some random, out-of-nowhere free agent visit. This has a very specific context and a very specific connection. And his name is Pete Carroll. Now, I know what you might be thinking. Pete Carroll? Isn't this Antonio Pierce's team now? Sure, but let's not forget how coaching relationships work in the NFL. When guys you trust and respect from previous jobs end up working in different places, that pipeline of familiarity doesn't just vanish. In fact, it becomes more valuable than ever when you're trying to build a roster full of competitors who fit a certain culture and mindset. Shaquille Griffin spent 4 solid seasons with Pete Carroll in Seattle, and during that stretch, he was more than just a role player. He was a legit starting corner. He even made a Pro Bowl in 2019, and when you look back at his numbers that year, they speak for themselves. He was locking down receivers, breaking up passes, and being the type of presence you want out there on the perimeter. He wasn't just eating up snaps, he was producing. That matters, especially to a team like the Raiders that's looking to solidify depth and consistency on the back end. Let's get into who Griffin is today, because I get it, 2019 feels like forever ago, especially in football years. The guy is now 29, turning 30 in July, and he's been around the league. After leaving Seattle, he had stints with Jacksonville, Houston, Carolina, and most recently, Minnesota. Now, I'll be honest, those middle years weren't amazing. Jacksonville paid him big, and he didn't exactly live up to the contract. But in Minnesota last season, he actually had a very under-the-radar, bounce-back type of year. Played in all 17 games, started only 3, but still managed to put together some respectable numbers when you dig into the film and the data. He was targeted 57 times and allowed 31 catches. That's not elite shutdown material, but for someone not starting consistently and being rotated in, those are solid efficiency numbers. He gave up around 429 yards, which averages out to about 13 yards per reception. The most impressive part? A quarterback rating against of just 75.8. That's better than a lot of guys who had starting roles all season. So when you think about a potential signing here, this isn't about getting a superstar or a CB1. This is about depth, veteran leadership, and adding a guy who can push the younger players while still contributing at a decent level if called upon. And let's talk about those younger corners for a minute. This Raiders secondary has some potential, but it's also full of questions. Darian Porter and Eric Stokes have been standing out so far this offseason. That's great news, especially for Porter, who's starting to look like a reliable outside option. But then you've got guys like Jacorian Bennett, who flashed last year, but still needs to find his footing, and Cam Richardson, who has the physical tools but hasn't really made noise in OTAs. Bringing in someone like Griffin, who's played over 100 games in the league and knows what it takes to last, is the kind of move that can stabilize that group. Not to mention, his frame and play style fit what this new coaching staff seems to be building: long, athletic, aggressive corners who can play man coverage. This leads me right into the coaching staff. Pete Carroll's presence is clearly being felt in Vegas right now, even if he's not the head coach. His fingerprints are all over the style, the personnel preferences, and even the energy in the building. You hear it from the players. They're having fun, they're competing, and there's a different kind of vibe around this team. That kind of environment is exactly where a guy like Griffin thrives. He's known as a great locker room guy, someone who lifts up teammates, keeps things positive, and works hard. That alone can be worth signing someone, especially when you're trying to establish a new culture and identity. He may not be a game changer on Sundays every week, but what he brings Monday through Saturday could be just as valuable. Another piece of the puzzle is money. The Raiders have it. After signing Jermaine Pratt, they're still sitting on plenty of cap space, We're talking well over $30 million available. Griffin's market value isn't going to break the bank. You're probably looking at something in the range of $3 to $4 million, maybe even less depending on the structure. For a proven veteran corner, that's a bargain. It's not like you're mortgaging your future or taking a big risk. You're making a calculated move to bring in someone who can help your team get better today. And let's be real here. That's what smart organizations do. They don't wait until there's a crisis to make a move. They anticipate needs. They look at their depth charts and ask, what happens if one guy goes down? You can't have too many corners in today's NFL. Offenses spread you out. Quarterbacks attack mismatches. If you're not prepared, if you don't have reliable options, you're toast. Signing Griffin gives the Raiders insurance. It gives them flexibility. It gives them another piece they can move around if needed. He's played almost 90% of his snaps on the outside, but he's versatile enough to be experimented with in different packages. He's not a slot guy by trade, but if push comes to shove, he could hold his own inside. That kind of versatility is exactly what this coaching staff wants. Now, I already know there are fans out there rolling their eyes thinking, this guy's best days are behind him. And maybe you're right. Maybe he peaked in Seattle and will never be that player again. But here's what I'd say. If he was completely washed, he wouldn't have had a role last season in Minnesota, and he certainly wouldn't be getting visits right now. There are always younger, cheaper options out there. Teams don't bring in vets unless they think there's something still left in the tank. The Raiders clearly saw enough to bring him in. That tells you they're intrigued. And that should be enough for fans to at least give this potential move a fair shot. And one last thing, let's not forget the kind of mentorship he could provide. This cornerback room is filled with youth. Guys who are still learning the game at this level. Bringing in someone who's been through the grind, who's seen every type of receiver, every offensive scheme, and who's kept himself relevant through different team systems. That matters. Griffin has had to fight for everything in his career. Nothing was handed to him. That kind of mindset is contagious in a locker room. And if you're trying to build something sustainable in Vegas, you need more guys like that. Guys who aren't just here for a paycheck. Guys who want to compete, who want to prove something, who bring edge and energy. So when I stack all of this together, the Pete Carroll connection, the solid 2024 season, the current state of the cornerback room, the cap flexibility, the leadership traits, it feels like a no-brainer. No, Griffin isn't a star anymore. But not every signing has to be a headline grabber. Sometimes the best moves are the ones that quietly make your roster stronger. And that's what this would be. A smart, low-risk, high-character signing that makes the Raiders better on the field and in the locker room. Whether they pull the trigger today, tomorrow, or down the line, just know this. Bringing in Shaquille Griffin wouldn't just be about nostalgia or familiarity. It would be about building a roster with purpose, with intent, and with the kind of competitive depth you need to win in this league. And you better believe if it does happen, Raider Nation will be the first to know, and we'll be breaking it all down live. Now that we've laid out all the reasons why signing Shaquille Griffin makes sense for the Raiders, let's zoom in even further on what his presence could mean once the season actually starts. Because beyond the stats, the contracts, and the connections, what this team really needs is stability, especially in the secondary. That's where Griffin could provide immediate impact, not just with his play, but with the way he helps shape the competition in that defensive backfield. Right now, the Raiders have a handful of corners fighting for spots. Some have high ceilings, others are still question marks. Adding a veteran like Griffin forces everyone to step their game up. And in the NFL, competition breeds improvement. If you're a young corner and a guy like Shaquille Griffin walks in a room with over 100 career games under his belt, that's going to raise eyebrows. It's going to push guys harder in drills. It's going to raise the standard. And let's not forget, Griffin isn't walking in to take over. He's walking in to compete. That's the type of player this coaching staff loves. He's not expecting a starting role to be handed to him. And he's not the kind of guy who's going to stir up issues if he's not getting every rep with the ones. He's been humbled a bit by the journey, by bouncing around teams, and he's coming in knowing exactly what his value is. That kind of self-awareness is rare and valuable. Coaches love it. Teammates respect it. And fans, even if you don't see it on the surface, benefit from it when that attitude helps elevate the team. It also helps that Griffin has seen every type of offense you can imagine over his 8 years in the league. From run-heavy systems to pass-happy spreads, he's seen them all. And that's the kind of football IQ that can help a defense communicate better, line up quicker, and adjust mid-play. A guy like Griffin on the sideline or in the film room might be just as important as having him out there on the field. And when injuries inevitably happen, which they always do, you're going to feel a whole lot better having someone with that kind of experience ready to step in, instead of throwing a rookie into the fire who's still trying to catch up to the speed of the game. So whether he ends up as CB3, CB4, or just a situational guy who comes in on certain downs, Shaquille Griffin has the tools and the mindset to help this Raiders defense get stronger. And with the way the schedule is shaping up, with the kind of passing attacks the Raiders are going to face, you need depth, not just in numbers, but in talent and preparation. Griffin brings that. He's been through the highs, the lows, and everything in between. If the Raiders want to continue building something sustainable and tough, bringing him in might just be another piece of that puzzle. Before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on our Las Vegas Raiders. And don't be shy. Drop your thoughts on the news in the comments below. Breaking news in the NFL. The Las Vegas Raiders are reportedly eyeing a blockbuster move that could shake the foundations of their offense. Rumors are swirling that the Raiders have set their sights on none other than TYREEK Hill, the dynamic wide receiver known for his electrifying speed and game-changing plays. Sources close to the team suggest that an enormous, multi-million-dollar offer is being prepared, aimed at luring Hill to join the Raiders and potentially revolutionize their aerial attack. The chatter around this possible acquisition has sent shockwaves through the league, as Hill is widely regarded as one of the most explosive offensive weapons in the NFL. The Raiders, who have been searching for a true playmaker to complement their quarterback and invigorate their passing game, see Hill as the perfect candidate to elevate their offense to new heights. With his ability to stretch defenses and create scoring opportunities out of seemingly impossible situations, Hill could be the missing piece the Raiders need to become a legitimate Super Bowl contender. While no official confirmation has come from either party, insiders claim that negotiations are in the early stages, but moving quickly. The Raiders reportedly are willing to offer a lucrative contract that reflects Hill's elite status in the league, signaling their commitment to reshaping their offensive identity. The potential signing could also have ripple effects across the NFL, forcing other teams to reconsider their strategies and rosters in response to the Raiders' aggressive pursuit. Fans and analysts alike are buzzing with speculation about what this could mean for the Raiders' future. Could TYREEK Hill's presence finally unlock the full potential of their offense? Or will the high stakes and financial commitment prove too risky for the franchise? The drama is far from over, but one thing is clear. The NFL offseason just got a lot more interesting with the possibility of Hill landing in Las Vegas. Stay tuned as more details emerge on this developing story. If the Raiders manage to pull off this mega deal, the NFL landscape could be forever changed. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay updated with exclusive news about our Las Vegas Raiders, be sure to subscribe to our channel and hit that like button. We can't wait to hear your thoughts in the comments. See you in the next video.